So therefore, parenting is essential and is an important role in our lives and even in our community and also in our family. Hi guys, you welcome back to my channel. This is Debbie Show. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, press on the like button and also the notification bell so that you can be notified anytime I post a video. And also don't forget to share among your friends and family, and don't forget to put your comments down in the comment section. As I promised in my last video, I said I will be reading out some comments from my previous video. So I have two comments here and I'll be reading them out loud. One came from FJ Channel. She said, very important topic. Way to go, Sister Debbie. Thank you so much, FJ Channel. I'm grateful. And the other one came from Brian Donato. He said, awesome content. Always great to see another parent share perspectives on YouTube. I did a parenting series months back on my channel too, and playlist is on homepage. I hope we motivate, inspire, and inform parents out there. Just subscribe to your channel also. YouTubers like yourself should be highlighted more. Thank you so much, Brian Donato. I am very grateful. You can also go to his channel and watch the parenting series he also did on his channel. And yeah, it's always good to share ideas, and because you may never know when and how it's gonna help someone else. So let us inspire others, let us motivate others, people among us, and let us share our perspectives with each other, and that way we can learn, that way we can grow. So today is gonna be about our singles and parenting. Singles and parenting. Yeah, so in my last video I told us that I will be interviewing one or two people from the singles group to hear their perspective on parenting. So without wasting much time, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I have
Hi, so I'm Oluwatobi.
and
Hi everyone, my name is Mercy.
with me today, and they'll be sharing their perspectives on parenting.
So, parenting is the process, of promoting the development of a child from infancy to adulthood. And when I say development, we're talking about physical development, we're talking about emotional development, we're talking about social development, we're talking about intellectual development, we're talking about spiritual development. So being able to, provide these, for a child from infancy to adulthood, is what I would define, as parenting.
Okay, so to me, parenting is the ability to raise a child by giving support through support and doing that to help the child in every aspect of the child's life. So cutting across the spiritual, physical, emotional, social, intellectual life, every aspect of a child's life. And that support can also be given and then the training basically can be given in different aspects, different areas. It actually contains different aspects. So there's an aspect of training, giving instruction, guidance, all sort of things. But just being able to provide that support that a child needs from childhood to adulthood.
Thank you for that question. So, I don't think you have to be married compulsorily to be a parent. This is because we've seen people, who were married and, even gave birth to children and did not parent their children, neglected them, did not take care of them. So I would see parenting more as a skill as, a mindset, such that when an individual has that skill and that mindset and can provide, like, earlier defined, can provide, all the intricacies of development of support needed for a child to move from, the stage of infancy to adulthood. Once an individual can provide that, then such an individual, of course, can parent a child. So it's not necessarily because, you're married and you give birth to children. Of course, there are people who, don't have children of their own, but they parent, other children, they parent people. And some of them, there are people who are not even married but are mentors, and they parent, they nurture people from, that infancy to adulthood. And those individuals actually, come out as well people who were well brought up, and people who have repute in the society. So I don't think necessarily that you have to be married. That being said, of course, when you are married, and you give birth, of course, you have to you have to be a good parent. So you should know that once you are entering into the institution of marriage, of necessity, you are taking up a responsibility, because according to the scriptures, one of the purposes for marriage is procreation. So you should have that at the back of your mind, that you have to parent your children, you have to take care of them, you have to ensure that you're there, in providing and supporting their development, from infancy to adult.
Okay, so I think that you do not necessarily have to be married before you can parent a child, because that you are married does not mean you automatically know what it takes to raise a child in the right way and in a godly way. So you do not have to be married before you understand and really know what it means to raise a child in the right way and be able to do it. So you don't necessarily have to be married. Also, but I do think that raising a child can be very effective, can be more effective, if it's done with the if it's done by the joint effort of a father and a mother, specifically the father and mother of the child. So even though you don't necessarily have to marry before you can raise a child, I still think that parenting can be more effective. It doesn't mean that if you're not married, but say you have a child, then you cannot effectively raise your child. No, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. I just think that there's something that both the father and the mother can jointly, contribute into to the life of a child, to raise that child up in the right way.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think it's important to know that you do not know parenting just, by growing old, giving birth, and then automatically happens. Just like in any, endeavor we have, in our career, different fields, we went to school to acquire the knowledge necessary to acquire, the skills that needed to be proficient, in our different fields. So also you need to learn, when you do not know, you are ignorant, then there's no way you can learn. So you have to first know that you do not know how to parent. You need to learn how to parent. So you could, read books, you could even seek, mentorship from, people who have, brought up individuals from infancy to adulthood, and these people are, that these people are well brought up. These people are people of repute in the society. And also it's important to know that children are not less humans than adults. I think that's very important to note. So a child is just as intelligent as you are. A child is just as human as you are. The only difference is experience. So the child is not yet experienced in a lot of things. The child is not yet exposed. And so when dealing with children, we should have that at the back of our minds. And also, children learn by what they see, they learn by what you do. So when you are teaching a child, you have to be practical, you have to be consistent. You can't be teaching a child, something, but your own behavior, your own demeanor, your own character is, deviates from that which you are teaching. So it's good to be consistent. That's the way you'll be able to parent properly. And also you need to be patient. Children ask a lot of questions and they just want to know a lot of things, and it can be frustrating at times. So I think those factors are important. The fact that you need to learn, the fact that you need to be consistent, and the fact that you need to be patient.
Okay, some basic things I think it's important for an individual to know. And when it comes to raising a child, is first of all, understand that you have to be balanced as an adult yourself before you can think of trying to raise a child. Because it takes a lot to really grow up, to really train a child and, help that child grow in the way God wants the child to be, so the child is both useful to God and to man. Therefore, first, you have to be balanced yourself. I'm not necessarily saying you have to be perfect, but then you have to be spiritually sound. You have to have a very intimate relationship with God. That's at the foundation of it all. Also, emotionally, you have to be emotionally stable and sound emotionally. You have to be, in terms of your social life, in terms of your physical life, very important, vital aspects of your life needs to be well developed, because you want to be able to replicate something very positive, the child also. So if you don't have some important things in your life that ought to or have been established, you may not be able to. It may be very difficult for you to try to teach that. Just pass it on to a child, because you cannot give what you don't have. So that's very important, because one thing children learn from is by, they just learn by watching people. They learn by example. So it doesn't matter what, if you say 1,000 things, but if those things you're saying is not even reflecting in your own life, then it's not going to happen in the child's life also, especially the child you're trying to raise. Therefore, it's very important to do that. Sometimes it's good to reflect on how you were brought up. If for any reason, maybe for instance, you think that the way you were raised as a child was not the best way, was not really very helpful as you were growing up. Reflecting on that can help you kind of think about what you don't want to happen, what you don't want to see in the life of the child you're trying to raise, right? So that can kind of shape your thoughts and say, okay, how did my parents raise me up? What were the things that they did that wasn't so helpful? That way you identify them, you know them, and you are very intentional about making sure that you don't also pass that same thing to the child you're trying to raise. And if you were brought up in a very amazing way that you just feel like, oh my goodness, the way I'm raised, that's the same way I'm going to raise my child, that is something you also want to kind of point out and be intentional about it. You would also need to learn many things. You want to learn about children, how children behave, how children learn, many things about children. So you want to learn about child's, how children develop, all those things. You can learn that from reading good books about children and children development. And also by interacting with children. I think it's very important for you to interact with children. Just observe them, know how, peculiarities of, children, and just know some things that are very, very important about them. And attending seminars, reading great books on parenting, trainings, and I highly recommend reading godly Christian books on raising a child in the way of God and also other aspects of life. So trainings, books, interacting with children, and reflecting on your past life, and also you being balanced yourself. So those are some things that I just like to mention.
Yeah, so when you're talking about when to start learning to parent, I think once you are matured, and once you are even before you start thinking, as you are thinking about probably settling down in marriage, you should as well be thinking about you know um learning about parenting. you know um you don't just wake up one day and become something. Even in our careers, you don't just wake up one day and become a doctor or a nurse, or an engineer or something, a lawyer. You go through formal education for a period of time, years actually. So it's important to actually start learning early. You don't want to just give birth or maybe adopt a child or something, then that's when you want to start learning how to parent. Or when the child has already turned out wrongly, you want to learn as soon as possible. If you're already in a relationship, you have to, of course, start reading books on parenting, because of course, like I said earlier, one of the reasons why we get married, it's something commanded by God in the scriptures, is to give birth. And you want to ensure that the children you give birth to are not misfits in the society. You want to ensure that they are individuals who are respectable. They are individuals who carry uh, 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 carry out their lives, bring forth good virtues. So it's important to start learning these things. And the earlier you learn, the better. And the earlier you learn, the more you can learn. So I believe that it's it's good to start early, learning about parenting.
Okay, when should we start? I would say as soon as you become an adult, like in the US, for instance, you're officially an adult when you reach the age of 18. So I think that's a good time to start. I mean, if you choose to start before 18, not a bad idea, but I just think that as soon as you become an adult, it's not too early to start learning about it. It does not mean you're ready to have a child of your own in the next 1 year or 5 years or even 7 years. It doesn't necessarily mean that. And because no knowledge is a waste, so it's just very important to be well prepared and get yourself very well equipped. The opportunity for you to raise a child may not even come from, may not first come from you having your own children. It may be you are being able to, help a child, from someone else, someone else's child. Or you'll be able to pass your knowledge, you'll be able to, with your knowledge, help, shape the lives of younger ones coming behind or that look up to you, and also you can also help erring parents that are not really helping their child, like raising their child up in the right way. Your knowledge can, help to kind of, I don't know, provide some advice for those parents. So you don't have to wait till you're married or till you have a child of your own before you start learning. But once you become an adult, start reading books, studying children. You never can tell how that would help not just your child or your children, but also the lives of many, many other children around you.
In conclusion, we don't have to be married before we parent a child, and we need to start learning one or two things on parenting so that can help us when it is time to parent a child. And also, parenting is not all about raising a kid, but it's about the adult those kids become, it's about the citizens they become, it's about the ideas they bring, about the suggestions they give, and also about the decisions they make. And not only that, fulfilling the purpose of God. So therefore, parenting is essential and is an important role in our lives and even in our community and also in our family. Therefore, parenting is an important role with blessing. And I want to thank our visitors. I want to thank Mr. Messi and Bro Toby for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you very much. It was nice being on the show. I really appreciate it, Debbie. Thank you very much, and thank you, viewers at home.
Thank you so much for watching, and for my next video I'll be inviting the newly married or young couples to share their perspectives on parenting. Stay tuned and stay blessed. Thanks for watching. Bye.